Welcome to Access Granted, the podcast spotlighting the people reshaping the world through inclusion. I'm your host, Mike Iannelli, and today's guest is Shannon Garner, Ablr's training specialist and leader of our Accessibility Analyst program. Losing her sight at just 6 years old, Shannon learned early how vital accessibility is, not just for independence, but for dignity and opportunity. Now, she doesn't just teach accessibility, she lives it. I can't wait for you to meet her. Welcome, Shannon. We just were talking about having you or wanting to have you on the show, the podcast. We're going to have a little bit of fun for the next little bit of time. Before we jump into questions, I want you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, who you are, and what you do for Ablr.
Hi, my name is Shannon Garner. I am the training specialist at Ablr. I'm the instructor of the accessibility training course that we have. And I get to teach individuals with visual impairments as well as create course content.
You know, obviously Ablr is a disability inclusion company, a digital accessibility organization. We not only help organizations make sure their content is usable and accessible for all people, but we also have a training program with multiple different topical areas. And then we have this new training program that Shannon leads, is where it's an accessibility analyst training program. So we work with the Division Services for the Blind, and we work and recruit individuals with visual impairments and low vision who are looking to make a change in their life. And we bring them in, and they've got to go through a rigorous assessment process. But once they get into the program, Shannon takes over and trains them over a 16-week period. We've got multiple milestones, and it's really an impactful program. And we're seeing a lot of great benefits and a lot of great graduates. And we're also seeing a lot of new employers who are looking for diverse hiring and bringing our folks on full-time, which is exciting. So, Shannon, before we jump in all that, I want to hear a little bit about your background story. Correct me if I'm wrong. You weren't born with a visual impairment, is that right?
That's right. I had something called Stevens-Johnson syndrome at the age of 6. And basically what happened is that I had an allergic reaction to the influenza virus. I had a fever that went extremely high, and it burnt the mucous membrane in my body. So my eyes were basically burned shut. I'm able to open them now because I've had several surgeries. But yeah, once again, it started long time ago at the age of 6.
6 years old. So.
Yeah.
So you're a 6-year-old kid, and then you get sick, and then you have this tragic situation, and you can't see. But it's also, you can see a little bit, right? Like I've one of the biggest misconceptions I think all people have, including myself, is that you're blind, and that's not really the case. There's multiple varying levels of blindness, right? Macular degeneration, You've got retinitis pigmentosa, you've got glaucoma. I mean, there's all kinds of. So, tell me a little bit about your vision loss and exactly what percentage you can see, if any, and how do you leverage that?
I really don't have a percentage of what I can see. It's more so of I see like the full range, the different conditions that you just mentioned. Some of them you can only see maybe central vision or the peripheral vision. Me, I see everything. It's just that it's blurry, right?
Okay.
So I can see the fact that I have on this amazing burgundy red-ish looking dress.
It does look amazing.
So I'm able to see certain things. And if I had like two different colors that were similar, let's say I had white and then it had like a light gray, it would be hard for me to tell the difference unless I have them side by side. But I don't see any details. Like, I can't see a beautiful face, Mike. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, thank you. That's so, but you can tell by the voice, I guess.
Yes,
right?
yes, of course.
So, do you use assistive technology or any sort of mobility device?
I use assistive technology on a daily basis. My phone, just like everyone else, is my like my lifeline. I do use a voiceover for work. I use JAWS.
And explain what JAWS is.
JAWS stands for Job Access with Speech, and it's a screen reader. And basically what it does is, as I'm navigating on a screen, as long as the content is created with accessibility in mind first, I'm able to access that with the screen reader. The screen reader will read everything out to me.
Okay, so you just said something important. As long as the content was created with accessibility, talk about what that means for the audience.
So what I mean by as long as the content is created with accessibility in mind is that a lot of times, unfortunately, things are not created with accessibility in mind. So therefore, we just focus on what we can see. As long as we can see it, then, hey, it's good. But we have to understand that people perceive digital content in different ways. So a person who has sight, like I said, can see the content. But we need to make sure that that content is in a form where someone who's blind, like myself, using the screen reader, is able to also perceive that information. So if it's a picture of text, which is a big no-no, I'm not able to read that with my screen reader. Yes, that screen reader does have superpowers built into it, so technically I am, but it's not accessible. That's the screen reader making up that gap. Why do that when we can have people actually create content? Don't use pictures of text. Use regular text. Don't use similar colors, like I said before, with white and light grays. Use a big contrast, white and black, dark pink on white, or something of that nature.
So there's a wide range of accessibility features and functions. I think in some ways what you're saying is that a lot of content today, a significant amount of content, isn't accessible for people with disabilities, especially with folks with visual impairments, right?
Yeah.
So the screen reader is there to help read what's on the screen, but if the screen and the content wasn't created with accessibility in mind, things like the read order or the H1 tagging situation, or it's not functional with a keyboard because folks with visual impairment use a keyboard to function on the site for shortcuts. And so if the content's not there, the screen reader's helpful, but if it's reading stuff that's all jiggered and jaggerish and all over the place,
Right.
it's very confusing and leaves you in a position we used to call it the abyss. It's like, I don't know what to do next. You're not leading me through the process or the experience. You're just talking me through and completely miscommunicating what the content has to offer.
Exactly.
Let's talk a little bit about that because that's such an important piece, right? So when you were growing up, you were 6, but do you remember, sort of when screen readers came out and what the impact was for your life?
I think one of the advantages that I did have is that I lost my sight at a younger age, right? So I wasn't really aware of everything that I would need to access as an adult, like bills and etc. But what I'm saying is that I remember going to school and there being what we call the resource room. And I was introduced to braille. I wasn't really introduced to a screen reader at first. It was that big clunky braille writer that we love so much because it's old but reliable. And I was introduced to that. And then I remember maybe around the age of 8 is when I started actually using a computer. And I believe, I can't quite remember, it's been a long time, the name of that speech output, I think it was like spoken out loud, something like that. But I didn't really use the screen reader until I turned, 15?
Okay.
Everything else was braille.
So you learn braille. So that's another misconception. The other misconception is that every person that has a visual impairment or is low vision is a braille user, and that's not the case at all.
Not at all, because we have to understand that people with disability is the largest minority group. That means that people lose their sight at different ages. You can't expect someone who may be in their 50s to go and learn braille. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm just saying, if they are already lifing and they lose their sight, that's another thing that added to it. You can't really expect for that person to know braille like someone who grew up with it. Like I said,
understandable. Is it also just because of modern technology that braille is just not easily or readily available, or just not used as much?
braille is everywhere. We don't realize it though.
Okay, explain.
Because, so when you go into a big office building downtown and you go into the elevator, what do you see on the buttons?
Okay, I do see that, yeah.
Right? When you go to one of these huge conferences and you're in a hotel and you're walking down the aisle and you see the little plaques on the door, what do you see?
I do see braille.
Yeah. When you go into a public restroom, on the sign, what do you see? Braille.
Good.
So braille is everywhere. So I don't think that speech output will ever replace braille. I think it's an awesome tool, but at the same time, I think different tools are good for different people.
Understandable. So yeah, I think that we talk a lot about misconceptions, and what we do is such a component of education, right? And that's always been the challenge, is generating awareness around this, right? Because there's always often this, we don't have people that are our targets, or we don't know anybody, or it's such a small percentage, when in fact it's not a small percentage. I mean, we're talking about 1 billion people globally that have a disability. And when you start to think about business case and $8 trillion in buying power, and then obviously with the use of assistive technology today and the evolution of technology, folks with disabilities have more access than they've ever had before. As we all do, they have more opportunities than they've ever had before. So the world is really changing, and it's sort of, this is the time to get on board. Would you agree?
I agree, and I want to always raise awareness of accessibility, because it's not just for people with disabilities. Accessibility is for everyone.
I agree. So explain that.
For an example, because I like to speak in examples. Let's talk about a person who's in a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say we're in downtown Raleigh.
Mm-hmm.
right? And we need to cross the street. We have what are called curve cuts, right?
Mm-hmm.
People think, oh, those are for wheelchairs, but no, not necessarily, right? What about a mom with a brand new baby? What about a bicyclist?
So talk about the digital side of that too, though, right? Because you talk about
Right.
websites now, all of a sudden they can be read,
Yeah.
but there's a usability component of it, right? And there's
Yeah.
so many other benefits that we say accessibility is for everyone. But what does that mean to you?
So, like I said before, and when I stated that people with disabilities are the largest minority group, at some point in your life, you're going to have a disability. It's going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
right? But let's take a step back from that. Let's say that you're in your car, the sun is shining down on your phone. You're not driving, of course, but you're just sitting there and you want to check some emails while you're waiting for your fast food delivery. I don't know. I'm just making something up.
That's a good example.
And you're looking down at your phone. What if the sun is glaring on your phone, right?
Yeah.
If that was light pink text on a white background, do you think you'd be able to see it?
No, so it's contrast.
It's
issues.
contrast. But if I have black text on a white background, it's going to pop and you're going to still be able to see it.
So your education has been a radical shift. So one of the things that Ablr does, it's all about upward mobility, right? Finding like-minded organizations that want to hire diverse people that change the game when they come in and offer a whole new perspective.
Uh-huh.
You joined LCI years ago. You were working on the floor, and then you met John, and John said, hey, I want to do something with digital accessibility, and boom, you became an analyst. And so all of a sudden, you went from working the floor to being an analyst. Now, where are you? And now you're the lead trainer of our largest growing program right now.
Yes.
So what does that feel like? And share that, because again, growing up, you probably had concerns that, hey, I'm not going to be able to do this, or the culture today doesn't believe in what I can do. And all of a sudden, you're living proof.
Yeah.
Talk about that living proof and what that means, because there's a lot of people out there listening to the program that want to learn more about how they can replicate this sort of path that you've created for yourself.
It feels amazing because, as you mentioned, I was working on the manufacturing floor. I did go over to, at that time, LCI Tech and was working with John, right? But I left and went back to the manufacturing. And John came and got me. And he said, basically, you're unemployed here. I want you to come back work for me, would you? And I said, sure.
And what did you see transpire over the last few years since LCI Tech became another organization, became Ablr?
It's
and
Ablr
then,
now, yeah.
And then boom, I mean, what kind of radical shift have we seen over the last 4 years?
The biggest shift that I see is, taking Ablr and now wanting to share the information that we know to other individuals out there who are also visually impaired. So the workforce development program that we have now, which gave me the opportunity of becoming who I am today. And I'm happy in the position that I'm in. I'm very joyful inside because I'm able to not only teach individuals with visual impairments, but I'm also a person with a visual impairment. So therefore, I'm able to tell them, listen, if I can do it, I'm sitting here and I'm teaching you. You can do this. You can do this.
And that makes a major difference because, again, if these folks were coming in and it was a sighted individual trying to educate them on this program, it probably wouldn't resonate as much.
Right.
And so now you're in the position of going from the floor to becoming an analyst and learning all about accessibility. Because when we first started, you were a tester. You tested all the content out. Then you've upward mobility. Now you're leading the charge with our training. But when individuals come into that and they see that, hey, Shannon has a visual impairment, Shannon has upward mobility, that's got to be inspiring and motivating for individuals to say, I can get there too.
Exactly.
That must feel good.
It was wonderful.
So let's talk about what's been going on with the program because it's evolved quite a bit. Now we're...
Oh, my goodness. So much. Much.
Yeah, tell me.
We are in cohorts 6 and 7. So 6 and 7 means that we have 2 going at the same exact time. We have never had that before. We're now going to be offering 4 different sessions of what I teach a year. So if you're interested, please
And explain
join.
what you teach again.
I teach digital accessibility. So I help prepare folks to take their CPAC certification. And I also teach the basis of digital accessibility. I teach about the core principles and how to apply them.
And what they are?
Perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust.
There you go. There you go. And why is that important? Why do those principles exist?
Because those are the foundations of accessibility. Content must be perceived by all individuals regardless of their disability. Content must be operable, meaning if I'm a person that uses a keyboard only, I should be able to access the information just like someone who uses a mouth, maybe someone who uses a sip and puff device. Whatever device I choose to use to access digital content, it must be operable to me. Content must be understandable. So easy to understand. I shouldn't need a PhD in physics to understand a web page, right?
Yep, true.
It must be easy. It must be predictable. It must be readable. The language should be there. The language should be determined in the code. Form should be clear enough to where if I'm filling them out, right, I will not make any mistakes. And content must be robust, meaning that no matter what type of technology I use from the past, the present, or the future, I still should be able to access this content.
Right on. So talk to me a little bit about, we said cohort 6 and 7, and obviously the program's changed quite a bit. It's not an easy program. You don't just walk in and get in because you have a visual impairment. You've got to earn your way in.
That's absolutely
and going through that assessment process. And so when you think about the number of students that we're starting to filter through the program,
yes.
What are you hearing about the impact? What are the positive stories you're hearing about the program from our graduates and our current candidates?
Of course, during the process, they always say, oh, this is so hard. This is so much. It's a lot, Shannon. It's a lot. And I always tell them, trust me, at the end, it's going to be worth it. And the proof is in the pudding, right?
Are you the pudding?
Like banana pudding.
I'm thinking more tapioca. But you're saying the proof is in the pudding because you've gone through it. I've
gone through it. But then they come back and they say, you know what, Shannon, you are right. You are right. And especially when they get their first job offer and they feel that true independence, whether they're re-entering the workforce or just joining for the very first time.
Well, joining in the very first time in a new career path.
Yeah.
One that's more than just, hey, you can go do this because that's what we believe all you're capable of doing. But now we've got education because the program isn't just about the CPAC, right? It's not about that. We do upskilling.
It's about work.
We get soft skills training, and then we've got a job developer on staff who's sitting right next to me. And talk about motivating. It's like, hey, we're going to not only take you through the training and prep you with an individual who's been there, done that. We're also going to get you ready for the workforce in terms of interviewing preparation and resume creation and LinkedIn profile building. And there's all sorts of components. So this is like a one-stop shop for changing lives of people with low vision and visual impairments.
It's like Tarjay.
Speaking of Tarjay, I need to hit that up. But that's really the full scale of the program.
Yeah.
And so where do you see the program going in the future? How do you see it evolving?
I see it keeping up with the new technology, the new digital content out there. Also just expanding through all over the country. Because right now we're just in a select number of states, but I want this to go national. I want it to go international. And I also want it to open up for not just people with visual impairments, but people with all different types of disabilities. And even if you don't have a disability, and you want to learn, come on.
Yeah.
We welcome you. The more awareness out there about people with disabilities, the more inclusive we can be.
Yeah, so if you had a couple things you could say to people that are listening, and maybe they might be organizations or might be potential students coming in, like what are things that you want them to know about the community, you want them to know about the Ablr organization, but some misnomers, some things that say, I've been visually impaired since I was 6 years old. Like, it's time for us to get on board. It's time for us to understand the impact that all people can have.
Yeah.
What would you share with them?
It's time for a new door to be open. Come and join us because you are going to be a part of an amazing community, an amazing support system that's going to help you with every single step of the way. Mike said it. From when you come in and do your assessment to the day you graduate to the day you get a job, because this is what it's all about. You joining that workforce. We're here for you. Basically, you're never by yourself.
Yeah.
You can reach out to me, reach out to anyone on the team. There's always someone there.
And the other component of that is the flip side. So we're training these individuals, we're preparing them for the workforce, but we also work with organizations to prepare them as well, because onboarding individuals that they've never hired before, it's a process. It's not a crazy process. It's just understanding what the technology needs might be, understanding what accommodations might be. But it's also making sure that their organization is trained in terms of etiquette and inclusive language and understanding how do we sort of incorporate this new sort of shift in the way we're looking at our organization from a resource perspective? But it also incorporates accessibility because we're training people in accessibility. And what better way than making sure that your digital content's accessible? So when they go to apply for a job, they can actually do it.
Yes.
And again, it's more than, I'm going to say this all the time, it's more than compliance, right? Compliance is just, hey, I want to protect myself from a lawsuit. There's a different line of that versus accessibility and usability and universal design. So all people, all humans that live on this planet can access the content precisely the same way based on the tools that they have.
People first.
Ablr, people first. Well said. Shannon, anything else you want to add in today's lovely conversation, which I'm so grateful for you to be here?
Oh, no, this was great, Mike. Thank you for this opportunity. If you're out there and you are listening to this and you're thinking about a career change, or if you're thinking about just joining the workforce, try Ablr.
And Shannon, thank you for being here. And I'll say this, I remember the days when it was just John and I, you and Angus and Sarah, and to see how far we've come from one account to over 200 accounts to 5 people to over 15 people, and now this internship program, and then we've got this training program, and we're looking at expanding into multiple states and adding new content for certification programs. And it's just, there's a lot of mojo and momentum going on, and to see you grow from the day I met you to where you are now, it's truly inspiring. And I just think you're doing amazing work. So thank you for everything you do. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Access Granted with Ablr's own Shannon Garner. Her journey reminds us that accessibility isn't abstract. It's personal. It's about clarity, opportunity, and making sure no one's left behind. And the real takeaway? Accessibility doesn't just level the playing field, it opens new ones. I'm Mike Iannelli, and I'll see you next time on Access Granted.